Out, touching me, touching you, sweet Caroline.
Hello and welcome to Animation Triad. As usual, I'm your host Stu, and with me today we have our lovely co-hosts Aaron
and Lish,
and together we are bringing you, well, a little something for the season. And what season might that be? Why, Mother's Day.
For all you hot mamas out there,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, all y'all mamas that maybe don't feel so hot, you
All
still
you baby
are.
mamas?
Mothers from another mother.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, in honor of this grand tradition, we are going to be looking at a little animated film called Coraline. Yes, the first major film from the studio. How did you pronounce this? It was
Luca.
Luca, yes, Luca. Pronunciations, my biggest weak spot.
We researched all of this before filming.
Indeed, as you can tell, we're very professional here.
We are. So
Yes.
much professional.
Oh,
Look
yes.
at all this shoulder blades.
I know, look at that.
Yep.
You could cut a knife with it.
Professionalism.
Cut butter, whatever, however the saying goes. But yes, I don't know.
Sure.
You know, spread it, you know.
Yes, get down there.
Oh yeah, you know.
Keep
it's
it
just how we do it.
PG-13.
Oh yeah, good. Well, we're aiming to. So,
Yeah, not with my mouth.
you heard that, folks. So, today we are looking at Coraline from 2009. Now, Coraline is, of course, based off the book by Neil Gaiman by the same name, Coraline. And, wow, is it an interesting book? You guys have both read it, right? Have you read the book?
I've not read the book.
Oh, well, you're in for some interesting treats. You've only seen the movie, then.
Yes.
And you've read the book as well?
I've read it slightly. I'm more so on the movie, but I know a little bit
Okay,
of it.
fair enough. Okay, so you're somewhat familiar with the book, and you aren't familiar with it at all. Okay, now I will admit there's going to be spoilers for both the movie and the book.
Ooh.
I know, so be warned, folks. This came out in 2009, so I mean, I think that's what, about 7-8 years worth of time that you could have seen this, and if you haven't, go shoot yourself. I'm joking, don't do that. Don't. Well, I didn't say
Shoot
kill
yourself
in the foot. In the foot.
with a water gun.
Or a Nerf gun.
Dart guns are always my favorite.
Water guns are less painful.
True, but seriously.
And we
How
don't.
do you know if you learned a
And
lesson?
we don't condone violence here.
No. Well, I do.
That's why it's okay for me to hit him.
Fair enough.
All right.
I like it.
He does.
So yes. So, as I said, the movie is based off of the book by Neil Gaiman. And how would you classify this book? I mean, it's, in a way, it is a fairy tale. The movie, too, is also something of a fairy tale, but a dark one at that.
Yeah.
And
It's like a dark fable. Movie.
Yes, I love
very
that.
much so. And you know what? As I worked in a library for a good many years, I actually have a degree in library science. And this is a book that librarians have quite a bit of trouble with. Thank you. Because it's generally either found in young adult or teen, or the teen section, or in children's, depending on where you go. It's half and half. Some libraries have it in children's, some have it in adult.
That's true.
This copy right here was actually from the teen section, while the audiobook is in the children's section. As I said, it's just a flip of the coin half the time, I think.
I swear it's a mystery hunt or something, like an Easter egg.
Yeah, it really is, because it does have some really dark, disturbing stuff in it for little kids. But then again,
A lot of
so
kids.
did fairy tales.
Yeah.
A lot of kids' material has some dark things in it.
Yeah.
I mean, we think that Disney is just this beautiful corn-fed thing.
Oh
but
God.
The truth is, like, if you look at it, like, characters just are dying left and right.
I mean, just look
Especially
at it
mothers.
mothers.
Especially mothers.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that actually brings us back to the focus of this. We are looking at it through the lens of Mother's Day.
Mhm.
So let's take a minute to appreciate actually what a little brat Coraline was
Oh.
in the beginning of
Yes.
this story. At least the movie. I'm only
Yeah.
going off of the movie.
We will compare some of the characteristics between the between the
Well,
characters.
she was so mean to Wybie for like no reason. Why is she so mean to Wybie? What did he do?
He scared the living shit out of her when he was first introduced.
And I probably would have had a
Yeah,
problem
I
with that,
think
too.
I can
Oh,
understand
really?
why.
Yeah.
I mean, come
And
on.
then you come out of
Nowhere
nowhere.
wearing that outfit with the skeleton face and everything.
You
And
could
just,
not even push her.
Yeah.
Push him, yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm just a nicer person than both of you.
doesn't take much to be nicer than me.
No, I'm not. I'm not nice like you.
None of us are.
But
Mats.
but like she was so mean to Wybie in the beginning. Okay, maybe it was justified. Maybe it wasn't. But then just she's all saying she doesn't want her mom to be her mom anymore, and
Well,
I just what a spoiled little child. I mean, her parents were trying to give her a good life.
well, I think in one thing you got to look at. Now, this is separate from the. Okay, so the way the parents act towards her, as opposed to how they act in the book, are slightly different. Yes, they're both still very busy in the book as well, but it's more of. How can I explain it? It's more of. Her attitude and stuff is not so. Her personality isn't so abrasive, I guess, but it's more kind of accepting, just like, oh, this is happening. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's more like Alice in Wonderland, how she just accepts things.
Okay.
So in that way, that's how it was. Now, would that translate well to film?
No.
Not so much.
They need the drama.
You need some
You
drama.
need conflict.
And if you watch the beginning of the film, you see that the reason the parents are stressed is one, they are moving to a new location.
I understand the
They
parents
are.
completely.
Oh yes. They were in a car accident, so that's why the mom has the neck brace.
Uh-huh.
So she's annoyed about that.
Uh-huh.
And because of the car accident, they're behind deadlines.
But that's just it. I understand about the parents. That's why I think this kid is just kind of a brat. It's like, and I usually will take the kid's side in films. I'll usually be like, she just wants her family. This time I'm like, girl, it's just for now. Will you relax?
Well, you always have to think about it from the kid's point of view, because one, she is being pulled away from her friend, all the people she's ever known,
Yes.
all of her friends and stuff, which is brought up later in the film. And one thing I actually really didn't like is that she's from Pontiac, Michigan. There's a lot of Michigan references.
Yeah,
in this.
there is.
There's the
Michigan represent.
Woo! Representing! There was a snow globe with the Detroit Zoo fountain in it. There was also a photo of them at the zoo there. There was a snow globe with lighthouses in it, which I'm pretty sure was supposed to be one of the famous lighthouses
Yeah,
in the
no,
area.
I think it was the most famous one.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it.
It made me want to like her, because one, she's from Michigan, two, she has blue hair.
Mhm.
But she was so mean in the beginning that
I don't think it's
almost
just
like
I don't know, I wouldn't exactly call it mean. I mean, it's just, you've apparently moved from your own house
she
into
could have made a friend, and she's like, "Why were you born?"
Well, you also gotta take it to her point. She's like literally being taken out her comfort zone, and you're like, and
Yes.
it's like it's just being thrown on you.
Yeah.
So you gotta take it and
So,
weigh it in.
I can see where you're coming from, but I can also see where you're coming from with that. And I think you both raised very good points. So she is a bit of a tough character to like at times, but she is an adventurous little girl, so it makes it interesting.
And the fact that she is flawed,
Oh,
brings
yeah.
something else to the table.
She's not perfect,
right,
No
which
one
is
is.
nice.
and it makes it less boring to see, because if it was perfect, it would just be like, oh, so, yeah, this is happening, and to some degree, that is a little of a fault with the book.
Yeah.
It is, she's just a little too accepting of things. It's like, okay, this is odd, but at the same time, they delve more into the characters of the parents in some degrees, with her talking about her history with them. The character, Wybie, as you mentioned, he's actually absent from the entire book.
What?
He was
Yeah.
made for the movie. He was made for
He's Daryl
Daryl?
from The
Walking
Walking
Dead.
Dead.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
No, it's alright.
Do I owe a penny?
Yes, you do.
You know what? Yeah, let's
All right, just-
pay about that.
yeah.
Tangent jar, folks!
Woo!
Ooh, we might be able to afford some good equipment soon.
Yeah, they
We
might
will
be
see.
able to buy their own lights instead of using mine.
Shh.
You didn't hear that. It's not on here. We'll be erasing that soon.
Or her. But back to the story. Yes, Wybie
They
is.
ain't erasing the sex appeal, okay?
Oh, you're right. Sex appeal. What are you talking? That's why I'm here.
Honey, please, you ain't got cleavage like this.
You're right. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Darn it.
Maybe if you turned around and used your moneymaker.
You'd see a concave hole. That's just it's nothing.
That's
It's
why you
yeah.
keep me here.
true. It is. Oh, okay.
You know what?
Okay, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
I
guys.
got you as well. All right. So, Wybie, as I said, was invented for the film so that Coraline wouldn't always be talking to herself, because a lot of it was internal monologues or just thinking things. Which I mean,
I could
yeah.
picture her being a dramatic little Hamlet child.
Ooh. Funny you mentioned Hamlet, because that actually does get brought up a lot in this
Does
film.
it?
Yeah. Well, when they go to town, there's a Shakespeare festival going on, which I think implies that they're technically in Oregon, because they're the Oregon Shakespeare Festival around that time. And there's, I think it's Richard III they quote, actually, because my kingdom for a horse. Is that Richard III?
Yeah,
it's Richard III. But I think one of the characters is dressed up as Hamlet because he's got a skull in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, one of the other characters, but
Important later.
yes, actually quote some of Hamlet's soliloquies about the what was it? It was to be about the people and how they're like a god almost.
Yeah.
So that was actually very interesting, I will say. There's some throwback there. But, as I was saying, Wybie was invented for it, and his involvement in it does play a major role in changing the ending to the story.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get to that when we get to the end of the story.
Such a twist.
Indeed. So, she's just moved into this big house called the Pink Palace, which is basically not so much a duplex, kind of just a bunch of housing units. So it's a
Can we just
giant
take
house.
a moment to appreciate the name?
I was
Pink
gonna
Palace.
say,
Pink House.
it sounds
The
so
Pink
dirty.
Yes.
Well, especially
So
when you
dirty.
consider who's living in the basement. Yes. So Coraline's family lives in the main section of the house, and then there's an attic where a crazy Russian guy called Mr. Bobinsky, Mr. B, who is played by Ian McShane, who
Love his work.
is fantastic. You might know him from
Tangent.
Yep.
Oh, actually,
Wait,
this ties into it.
Yeah, it's related.
It's about his work, where we
Okay.
talk about
Okay,
the
yeah.
actors and whatnot. So I mean, it does tie in.
It sounded like you were about to, crush all over him.
No, I'll keep it to a
Okay.
minimum. He's most famously known for playing Swear Engine in Deadwood, in HBO's Deadwood. And this isn't his only Neil Gaiman performance. He is currently in American Gods as Mr. Wednesday. Watch it. Give us money for that plug, please. We need it. And he actually is playing Mr. Bobinsky, who is a crazy Russian guy who is training a mouse circus, though we never see his mouse circus. Okay, back on topic now. So, we then have the neighbors down in the basement, Miss Spinix and Forcible, who are, if you pay close attention, they're actresses, they call themselves. They were on the stage. Well, I would. If you look at all the background stuff,
Yeah.
they were actually burlesque dancers.
Totally acting.
Yes, it is acting.
I like
It
her.
is.
I like
It's
their
performance
look. I like
art.
their
look and
their
demeanor.
feeling.
Oh, it was
It's
fantastic.
performance art, which means there is acting involved.
Oh,
Because,
exactly.
maybe you're just achy, but you still gotta act like you're all about that sex, you
Mhm.
know?
And you know what? There is an art to it, and I actually am a fan of
There
burlesque.
is.
I've
You
been
know
to a
what?
few
Me
burlesque
too.
shows. They're pretty cool to see.
Me too, actually.
I have not
A
been
lot
to one,
goes
but I
into
always
it.
wanted to see it.
It's fun. There's There's actually was a Detroit show a while back. Oh,
Who
good.
was this?
Tangent.
Tangent. Yeah, I gotta do it.
Yeah, no, please do it.
Yeah, we're both doing tangent. We're all doing tangents for this
okay,
one.
yeah.
But yes,
I only am putting in 1 penny.
fair enough. So, as I said, they were burlesque dancers. If you pay attention to the posters for their shows they were in, one of them was called King Lear,
Ah.
and
This totally went over my head.
Really?
I
For
wasn't.
real?
I was not paying that much attention. I wasn't
Well,
paying attention to.
okay,
I
so-
thought they were just actors.
no,
That's
okay.
alright. Just went off
They're
my
seen
head.
in the other world.
Okay, yo, now that I can get.
That when you okay, we're gonna get to this.
Okay.
So, Coraline goes exploring and she finds a small door, which is basically hidden. Oh, actually, no. First, she finds a doll that looks like her.
Oh,
Yeah.
one aside
Yes.
from that doll that looks like her.
Mhm.
If you notice the intro to the movie,
Oh yeah.
the other mother,
Mhm.
she was planning this.
Oh, entirely.
Oh,
She
yeah.
like it wasn't just like, oh, there's a little girl and I'm going to try and add her to the collection. No, she planned it. She's like, I want this little girl in my collection, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a doll and then send it out into the universe. She's like a metaphysical, hey little kid, do you want some candy?
Pretty much. But it was also before she
Sure.
got it in more ways than one.
Yeah.
The doll, looked like the previous girl she caught.
Yes.
Exactly. That's just it. These
Mhm.
are premeditated capture
Mm-hmm.
and buttoning.
There are so many charges against this woman. It's
I know it's
unreal.
ridiculous. But
Oh, and she's also played by Terry Hatcher.
yes,
their
she
mother.
is. She's played by
Yeah.
Terry Hatcher, who I thought was phenomenal in this.
Love her.
Well, she plays the mother and the other mother.
Yup.
And if you're a fan of her, you might know her from the TV series Lois and Clark.
Or Desperate Housewives.
She was in that as
More
well?
recently.
And she's
she
about
was.
to be a Supergirl.
She was.
She-
uh-huh.
she is?
She
Yeah,
is a
she's making a
superhero.
special appearance.
That is
She
awesome.
Hold on. Terry Hatcher is a superhero because she was in the PlayStation show Powers.
Oh, I didn't know she was going to be in that
She
one.
was in it?
Yeah, she was.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm
Ooh,
trying
good
to
for
remember.
her.
I'm trying to remember her name. You know what? I'm gonna research that and
All
get
right.
back to you. But she
Okay.
wore red.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What's that changed off?
The name of the show is called
What's-
Powers.
You know, we're just going to ignore that one and
Okay,
get back to, we're just going to write that one off.
All right.
So, she finds a door, and her mother, she bugs her mother into opening it up for her, and it opens onto a brick wall. Now here's the weird thing, because in the book, it's an actual normal-sized door, which makes sense, because when you split a house for other people to live,
Yep.
certain doors aren't used anymore, so they brick them up. This one is a little tiny door, and I was like, that doesn't make a lot of sense unless I went to a crawl space or something. So that's one thing I was a little confused by. But later that night, she hears a strange noise. And mice. Little dancing mice. Now, in the book, she's kind of gets a premonition in the form of rats singing, which I am extremely glad they left out because, quite frankly, it's extremely creepy.
Kidding? I love the
That would
idea
have
of
been cool
rats
to
singing.
see.
It's weird, but here's the thing, it doesn't really link to anything else I felt. Because I'm like, we are small, but we are many, we are here, we will be here when you fall, we will be here, you will be here when we rise. I'm like,
Oh.
it doesn't really play into it because,
Retro girl.
I don't know, it just seemed weird. And
If they went a little further with them, as in the circus thing, and
oh, they were considered the rats in the circus and all.
Okay.
But,
I'm sorry, I was wrong about that.
you were wrong?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. She looks like Terry Hatcher.
Oh.
So she was
Oh,
not
sorry.
in Powers.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Misinformation.
Oh.
No, you're dead to us.
I shall haunt this podcast forevermore.
Oh no. Oh well. So she goes into this tunnel, which I always thought looked amazing. It's got like
Yeah.
a speckled thing, and she crawls through it, and she comes into back where she came from, her house, but it looks slightly different, you know, slightly more interesting and whatnot. And then she runs into the kitchen, and she sees her mother, but something's wrong. It's buttons for eyes. And I just love the introduction to the other mother. It's just fantastic. It really is. It's just so sudden, and Terry Hatcher just plays it so well. She's so, like, perfectly sweet and welcoming, and you just want to be near this person, because she's just so awesome.
She has that perfect blend of comfort and yet also that slight Stepford wife.
Why?
It
Yes.
lures you
Kind
in
of.
until
It
you
really does.
know
It
that
does.
you have no
I'll be
way
honest though,
out.
it creeped me out a little because one, butt eyes.
Yeah.
Two, the fact that her voice was so perfect and
Mhm.
was so sweet and there wasn't a single flaw, a single stutter.
Anything.
Anyone that perfect is lying.
Pretty much.
lying.
Mhm.
I almost feel bad for her at some
So
times
you
too.
guys
Mhm.
were seriously suckered in. I'm sorry, but you would have been turned into a button eyes too.
Well, in the book,
Me,
it's slightly different.
me, I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, bring back my mother.
Well, in the book, what happens is Coraline's not, the wool's not pulled over her eyes.
Good.
Because in the book, she's more like, you know what?
She's kinder and she's smarter. Everybody read
Yeah,
the book.
Read the
Yeah.
book. She actually does come across a bit more cunning in the book. I will say
Okay.
that. She doesn't get help from as many people as she does in the movie, which I thought is to its detriment, but it's still a very good movie nonetheless. I thought. But the other mother in the book, her fingers aren't exactly right. They're like claw-like almost. So even then, you could tell something was wrong. It was off.
So wait a minute. Claws
Yeah,
are
kind of.
weird, but button eyes totes okay.
Well, you know,
Button
cartoon
eyes,
logic.
Button eyes aren't weird.
Well,
But
it's
Lady
animated.
Gaga, Want Your Bad Romance is a problem.
Apparently so. I mean, I think the button eyes would be an indicator of something going a little weird.
You
I was
think?
creeped out too
Yeah.
much from that. Mm-mm.
Maybe
Yeah.
she's really good at cosplay, but then like follow through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are introduced to duplicates from all the other people. So we've got Mr. Bobinski, who has this magnificent mice circus, which I gotta admit was one of the most.
Yeah, that was weird.
That was really cool to see. And then you had the other Forcible and Sphinx. Whatever, I'm not going to go there. And they perform a burlesque show. And they look like they normally do, which is two very old, short, chubby women and one very buxom woman. And
Sexy comes in all sizes.
it does. But I gotta do a little throwback to when I first saw this in theaters.
Mm.
I was sitting in the theater with my then fiance, girlfriend, who's now my wife, and we were sitting there watching. There's a mother with a couple of kids, and then when this scene happened, and the buxom one comes out dressed as Venus with pasties, she picks up her kids and walks right out. And we're just like, oh, God. This scene is hilarious, because it's basically, they sing a song that is literally about which is better, butts or tits. That's what the song is. If you listen to the lyrics, it's literally saying,
It totally went over my
I have an
head.
amazing butt, it's so much better, don't get distracted by that woman with the big blue boobs. And it's like, my breasts are better. And then they literally jump out of their old bodies into their old forms
Mm-hmm.
and
Their
proceed
young
to start
forms.
quoting Shakespeare and swinging around on trapeze.
Well, see, that just goes to show you that they're sexy and intelligent.
Indeed.
At any age, at any size.
Mhm.
I personally support this, but I can understand why people might be a little unnerved taking their kids to see a show that's got that going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is right up my alley. I would just,
Yeah.
we're going right
I
to
mean,
the
it's
theater
just,
for this.
you know what?
What bothers me
What?
more, though, is people are so up in arms about a cartoon character having pasties, but have no problem whatsoever about cartoon characters being killed in horrible, horrible ways.
Mm.
Fair enough.
So like, people can die, and that's totally fine, but,
Well,
you
that's
know,
more of a reflection of...
don't be too sexy. Don't,
Life
you know.
imitates art.
No, not so much life imitating art. I see it more as a problem with U.S. cinema in general. I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah,
have a problem. We have no problem with graphic violence,
Mhm.
but when it comes to sexuality or sex,
we're
we
It's
are
so
about it.
backward.
very
We're so
closeted
weird
about it.
Yes.
We really are. I mean, there's guidelines. You know, that's an entirely another
That
video.
is,
so
that is,
let's get
that
back to our
is.
subject.
Yeah.
There's also another YB. But the main difference between him and the normal YB is the fact that he can't talk.
Mm-hmm. Which
And
kind of makes Coraline like him better, honestly.
yes, but she
Mhm.
does. There is a line there that she goes and she says to him, "Did it hurt when she, indicates his voice?" And it cuts away before it. And I'm just wondering, like, what would have happened if they lingered there and he shook his head or something? It gets creepy. It really does.
It's supposed to, though.
It really
it's
does.
supposed to
It's
make
so
you
unsettling.
uncomfortable.
There's
Because
so much
you're
foreshadowing.
wondering how she's getting sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
So like the fact that you two It's good that we have different perspectives on this, because the fact that you two were instantly enchanted by the mother.
Oh, I
And
wouldn't
also
say
Enchanted by the world, not so much the mother.
alright,
not so much the mother. Yeah, I'm saying
Alright,
I'd
so-
be like, I got your number, bitch.
Yeah.
I got your number. This your button-eyed.
Mm-mm.
The B word ain't yours to say.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Mm.
So anyway, though, the fact that you two could understand the draw of this other world,
Yes.
the draw of this other mother, you guys are sympathizing with Coraline and her desire to have a more involved mother.
Yeah.
But I'm on the other side of the spectrum, and I'm like, you know, this is really a moment where she could look outside of herself
Yeah.
and try and understand the motivations of her parents.
You know what? That is so.
Well,
Oh, wow.
And also to be aware of your surroundings. Like, she's your typical little kid. She's not looking at everybody and everything as a threat. She's fairly trusting.
Yes.
Wow.
Even for being as worldly as she is, but she's fairly trusting, and we as outsiders can see the situation, and I can kind of see that in like real life. There are people who get into bad situations, whether it's with a friend, with a spouse, with a job, like with literally anything. They get into those kinds of situations and they can't see the harm that it's causing.
Yeah.
The
very much
dangerous
so.
road that it's going down.
Mhm.
But somebody outside of that can see that and tell you that it's not a good thing.
Very true. When you get further into the film, she does realize that, though.
And
And
sometimes
that is
you
character
can't.
growth. And I think that is an important thing. She does realize that. And she grows from it. So I guess in that regard, I think it's a very good character moment. Because later on, every
She
time...
absolutely does
Does.
grow, and
She
she
does.
does become
She does.
wiser.
Now, every time she goes back to the normal world and comes back, the mother changes slightly. She becomes a bit thinner, a bit more creepy. And we learn that she wants to sew buttons into Coraline's eyes so that she can stay there forever.
She becomes increasingly more sinister
Oh,
to show you how deep into the rabbit hole Coraline is going.
And then when she refuses, the mother changes basically into this like skeletal-like figure almost, grabs her and shoves her through a mirror with the ghosts of all the other children she's basically devoured.
And you know, there's such a Greek mythology, term into this, because it kind of like the whole idea of sewing the buttons into your eyes. It takes me back into the stories about Hades and when if you eat a certain food in Hades.
Oh yeah, that would be the pomegranate.
Exactly, and then you just have to stay there forever. It's like I totally went in with that. That's so cool.
Well, here's an interesting thing. The ghost children who show up to warn her about all this, well, what do they call her? They call her the Beldame.
The what?
The Beldame.
Ah.
Now, that has an interesting connotations because there's two ways you could take it. Beldame in English basically means old, ugly woman, or witch in a way, alright? But if you go with the French version of what it comes from, now I'm not going to even bother trying to pronounce it properly because I'm going to butcher it.
That's okay.
It comes from a French fairy tale about a knight who falls in love with basically a fairy
Yes.
who bewitches him, and it means beautiful woman.
Ooh la la.
And it basically, he's lying in her glen or field or whatever, he has visions of pale kings and other people warning him of what's going on. So in a way, this is a retelling of that story in many ways.
I gotta pick this up.
It's it's an old fairy tale from France. I don't remember the name. I'll have to look it up. But there's different ways to look at it. I mean, I find the character of the mother very interesting because it's also implied in the book that she needs Coraline.
Yes.
Go ahead. I have a thought afterwards.
Certainly, thank you. So she creates this whole world, but only enough of the world that it would entertain her. And she feeds off energy, and she needs to rest every so often to recharge her energy. And she needs the children there to create the world. Without the children, there is no world. She's just there. So in a way, and I think the book implies it more, she does need the children, and in a way she does love them in her own twisted way.
Mm-hmm.
She wants them. Go on.
You want to know what I see?
Certainly, go ahead.
This alternative mother
Mhm.
is like classic narcissistic personality disorder.
Of course.
Mm.
Because she's all sweet and fine as long as she's getting her way.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute that somebody goes against her wishes,
Mm-hmm.
abuse.
Yes.
Abuse, degrading,
Mm-hmm.
horrible treatment. The fact that she does need these children, she puts up this beautiful facade
Mm-hmm.
to lure people in, to give her the energy that she needs,
Mm-hmm.
to give her the feedback that she needs.
Mm-hmm.
And without them, without those status symbols,
Mhm.
essentially, her sense of self is completely deflatable.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally think that maybe she does love them, but she only loves them to the point that your average narcissist would.
Oh, it's just
Very
that,
true,
just
yes.
that you need them. That's about
Yes,
it.
it's more of a need than a want or a
Mhm.
love. Now, what does that remind
Not
you
even
of?
a
in
healthy need.
No, it's not a healthy
No.
need. But what does that remind you of? Another film where somebody goes to another magic world where the person creates the world all for them.
Labyrinth.
Yes!
Yes.
Labyrinth! Think about it!
Yeah.
He has all his power is driven from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So think about it
Only-
like that.
That was
Yeah.
so-
Only I still vote Labyrinth because the pants.
It's David Bowie.
David Bowie
It's all about the pants.
in tight pants.
And Tina Turner hair.
I like the whole outfit. The whole look was cool.
But seriously, that was Tina
okay,
Turner's hair.
some
That
recent-
was entirely her hair.
Some recent news has changed my mind about David Bowie, but just forever, like, the awakening that I had when I saw David Bowie in those pants just cannot be forgotten.
It never will be.
And that's like
Yeah.
very petty criticism I have of Coraline, is that there's no awakening from the
No,
other mother.
Fair enough. Well, there's probably, if you've seen fan art online of her, there was some awakening for
Okay,
some people.
somebody had an awakening, but it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot
That's
of
not
fan
healthy.
art. No,
But
a
you're
lot
right,
of really
though.
weird fan art, mostly
You're
focusing on
right,
her
though.
behind.
There is
Darknet.
a comparison to be drawn.
Mhm, there is, in a way.
Yeah.
So, we've talked quite a bit about it. And what can we say without going into more spoilers, but watch the bloody film. Just watch it. Seriously. This is a fantastic film. And up until 2016, this was, without a doubt, the longest stop-motion feature ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Only beaten by the same studio when they made Kubo and the Two Strings.
God, I love that film.
That is a great film, and we will eventually get to that with more in-depth analysis. But, so, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I did actually find it to be an enjoyable film. I liked the reality of our main character. I
Mhm.
liked that it was following a little girl's adventures.
Mhm.
I like that she eventually turns around to appreciate the family that she does have.
Mhm.
I think it's a great way for young people to kind of see, okay, you could have this idealized version
Mhm.
of your family, or you could have the real thing, which may not be perfect, but at least you know it's real.
Mhm.
I also like that there is at least some mention, I guess, some lesson there to
Mhm.
recognize when somebody is abusive so you can get the F out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Because not everybody has a good family. Some people
Mhm.
have terrible families, and they deserve to be free of that.
Which is
Yes.
so cute.
But for those families that are good but not perfect, this is a nice little film to help you really appreciate
Mhm.
a good family if you have one.
I couldn't agree more.
Aaron?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, anything that has to deal with dark, creepy, and unsettling things, I'm all in it. And this movie had it all. And
Oh,
the
in
story
spades.
is so great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have to agree. When they have all those little tidbits about, being aware of your surroundings
Mhm.
and knowing what real love is, and just understanding that yes, something may look great, but the grass may be greener on the other side. But pay attention to what you got on your end.
That's right. It could be AstroTurf.
Oh.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't know if it was just spray painted green.
Mhm.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, before we head out, you
Your
already know
final
my
thoughts?
opinion. I have my final opinion on it. I love the movie. I've watched it quite a few times. I own a copy of the DVD. I own the book, and I actually have the audiobook, which is read by the author Neil Gaiman himself.
Ooh.
And he does most of his own readings, and he does a fantastic job. And I want to just say that's the library's copy. Mine's in storage. So I just want to say this. This one actually has original music done for it by a band called the Gothic Archives.
Ooh,
And they're actually pretty fun. It's a really cool little intro for it. And check them out. They're a cool little band. The movie, I will say this. I love the movie, but the ending annoys me. Because in the book, Coraline figures out a way to save herself by herself. It shows her ingenuity. And I actually thought the ending was a lot stronger in that regard.
And we need girls who can
You
save
really do.
themselves.
Yes, you do.
In the movie, spoilers for the end, Whitey rushes in at the last minute and saves the day, somewhat.
Just
And
because
I'm
he
like-
had to be there.
And I'm like, no, don't do that. I was very unhappy with that decision. That was my biggest complaint against the film, I will say that. But other than that, I absolutely love this film. It's one of my favorite animated films to date, I will say that. I love it.
Yes.
And I can't recommend it enough. I really can't. But I can also not recommend the book enough. And the audiobook. So seriously, go find them, listen to them, read them, enjoy them.
A true triple threat.
Yes, it really is a triple threat here, folks. And it was also adapted into a stage play. Yep, there is a musical stage play version of it.
Musical?
I think there might be some music in it. I don't know how much music. I haven't really been able to find too much on it. So I know you're into music, so you might be able to
I love
really enjoy that.
musicals.
I love
Yes.
it.
So, with that,
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
watch them, read them, listen to them, love them. The soundtrack for this is also phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
It really is. The guy who did it just did an amazing job. We love this movie, if you couldn't tell.
We do.
Yes.
We
So,
enjoy
It's amazing.
what are we looking into next time, folks? To go
We
with
are
the theme of
looking
mothers.
into Steven
Universe! Because he's got more moms than you can count.
We
Oh, that's one lucky little boy.
Gems.
We're always save the day. And if you think we can't, we'll always find a way. That's why the people of this world believe in garnet
Amethyst
and
and
pearl and animation triad.
About
Triad. Yeah, we're trying to tie that in.
Yeah.
It didn't
Yeah.
quite work. We should have planned
Yeah.
that better. But
Yeah.
whatever. We're Animation Triad. I'm
Crystals.
Stu.
Wish.
Aaron!
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye, initiates.
Woo!